my name is Jules. I made a tutorial video for Dimension Duels back when it first came out, and now I want to bring you a tutorial video for Dimension Duels X. In this video, I'll be going over each of the features you need to know when it comes to playing the game, operating the menus, how to equip inventory items, and changing your settings. I'll be breaking this video down into sections, and I'll try to cover as much as I can. Alright, so let's get started. The dueling interface is the main component of this game that you will need to learn if you want to play the game correctly and to have fun. To duel an opponent, you have to click the duel setting on top of the menu on the right. When you do, your duel field will initialize and you'll be synced into a duel. To fight against an opponent, go into the glowing blue beam that your opponent creates when they sync in. I will now do a breakdown of each feature, starting with the right side of your screen. Draw. To draw a card, click this button and you will draw a card from the top of your deck. You can also shuffle your deck by clicking the shuffle button. Mill. If you want to send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, you can click the mill button right below the draw button and it will send it to the graveyard for you. Draw and show. If you want to draw a card and immediately reveal it to your opponent, you can go to the More menu right here and click the draw button and your opponent will see what card you drew. Coin. By clicking the coin button, it will toss a coin and it will either land heads or tails. Dice. Click this button and it will roll a 6-sided dice. Token. You can click this option to create a token card that you can place on the field accordingly. Remember that rules regarding tokens apply as normal even if they're in your hand. More. In this menu, it will open up more common procedures that might occur in a duel. If you want to banish the top card of your deck, click Banish Top Deck. If you want to banish the top card of your deck face down, click Banish Top Deck FD. If you want to banish a random card from your extra deck, click Banish RND Extra. If you would rather banish a random card from your extra deck face down, you can click Banish RND Extra FD. If you would like to select a random card in your hand, click RND Hand. If you would like to select a random card in your extra deck, click RND Extra. Settings. In this menu, you can toggle certain aspects of the game that fit your needs. For example, you can click holograms to stop the holograms that appear over certain monsters from showing up. If you don't want to see other players or other fields, you can click Hide Other Duels/Players. If you don't want flashy animations to play when you summon extra deck monsters, you can turn off Toggle Summon Animations. If you want your cards to appear over any part of terrain or player, you can toggle Card Always on Top. By clicking Use Overworld Music, you will change your regular duel music to the music you hear when walking around in whichever area you are in. By clicking Toggle Floating UI, you can toggle the UI that appears near your character. If you don't want to hear any music at all, click Mute Music. If you don't want to see any duel spirits floating behind people, toggle Click Hide Spirits option. Finally, if you want to match the color of your life points UI to the same color as your duel disc, click Match LP with Disc option. Checking the piles. To look at cards from your extra deck, graveyard, and banish pile, you can click on your player portrait in the bottom right corner of the screen. Just click on the options on the left-hand side to toggle between each pile/deck. If you want to interact with a card in that pile, just hover over that card and click on the according option. Public information. In the bottom right corner, it will always display your current life points, the current amount of cards in your deck, and the current amount of cards in your hand. There is also a bar where you can enter in your current amount of life points. By writing a number in that bar, your life points will become that number unless you type in a mathematical equation. So for example, if I'm supposed to gain 500 life points and I'm at 5,000 life points, I can either type in the amount I'll have afterwards, which would be 5,500 life points, or I can type plus 500, which will just add 500 to the current amount of life points that I have. This works great if you don't want to calculate everything in a different application. This also works with other symbols such as subtractions, multiplications, divisions, etc. If you look at the top right corner, it will display the same for your opponent. You can also look at your opponent's graveyard, extra deck, banish pile by clicking on their portrait. Secondary menu. In the bottom left corner, it will give you some additional options that you can use, plus it will show you the forfeit button. Banish 3 RND FD extra will banish 3 random cards from your extra deck face down. This works great when you're trying to activate cards such as Pot of Extravagance. The banish top 10 FD will banish the top 10 cards of your deck face down. This works well when trying to activate the effects of Pot of Desires. Top-down view is perfect for those who want to see the whole field clearly without having to constantly shift their camera angle. Finally, the forfeit button is when you want to desync from your current duel. It's generally proper etiquette to desync from the battle first if you lost the duel/match to show your opponent that you have lost the duel and you aren't trying to be a sore loser. You can minimize these options by clicking on the little tab right here. Card information. On the top left, you will see the current card information. This will display every aspect of a card that you've hovered over last. Hand options. If you want to interact with a card in your hand, you can click on the card at the bottom of your screen and options will appear for that card on the board and on the right of your screen. If you want to discard the selected card, click discard. If you want to place that card on the top of your deck, click to T deck. If you want that card on the bottom, click to B deck. Want to return that card to the extra deck? Click to extra. Want to banish the selected card face down? Click banish FD. Want your opponent to see the selected card? Click reveal. Want to give that card to your opponent? Click to opponent. But remember that this feature does not work in free duel mode, which I'll explain in a separate video. Finally, want to banish a card? Click banish. Now for the field, if you want to place that card on the field, hover over any zone on the field and click the orange arrow that belongs to that zone. If you want to set that card face down, hover over a zone and click the green arrow accordingly. Board options. When you have a card on the field, there are 6 options that will appear when you hover over that card. If you want to set that card face down, click the orange button. If you want to change the position of that card, click the green button. This option does not appear for cards in the spell and trap zone. If you want to return that card to the hand, click the yellow button. If you want to destroy that card and send it to the graveyard, click the red button. If you want to give that card a counter, click the blue button, and if you want to remove one, click the purple button. If you want your opponent to pay attention to a card on the field, you can by simply clicking on it, and an arrow will appear above that card. Stacking. Because this game incorporates every summoning mechanic available, the game will allow you to stack cards accordingly. If you want to stack a card on top of another, click the dark green button that appears on top of a monster. If you want to attach a card to an Exceed monster, you can click the red button. Deck building UI. In the game of YGO, customizing your deck and editing certain card ratios is very important. This can all be done in the Deck Builder UI on the right side of your screen that's in yellow. When opened, you'll be introduced to a bunch of different features. In this part, I'll be breaking it down by starting with the options on the right. Card search. In Dimension Duels X, all players will have access to every card in Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG and OCG database. You can search for these cards by typing the name or the effect of the desired card in the search bar near the top. Card type. You can also filter your monster search by searching their type, attribute, and level in the options right here. You can also filter through them by selecting their format they're specific to, such as OCG format and GOAT format. You can also sort the entire card type by searching by card type such as Trap, Synchro, Link, etc. Search results. You can see all the results that your card search has pulled up in the database. If you wish to add that card to your deck, simply click it and then click main. If you want to add that card to your side deck, click side. You can move to the next page of results by clicking the left and right arrows above those cards. Main deck. When adding cards to your main deck, they will appear in the beige box in the middle of the screen. If you want to remove that card from your deck, simply click that card. The numbers on the left of this box represent the amount of those card types you have in your deck. Do note that pendulum monsters will count as main deck monsters and will appear as monsters on the number on the left. Extra deck. All fusion, synchro, XYZs, and link monsters will show up here when adding them to your deck. Side deck. Side deck is reserved for cards that can be swapped in when playing in a match format. If you want to know more about the side deck, please read the rulebook and I'll go over how the side deck applies in a match. Deck buttons. In the bottom left corner of your screen, you'll be able to see all your available decks. If you want to interact with a certain deck, click it and then click one of the following buttons. If you want to load in that specific deck to use or use in a duel or modify, click load. If you want to save any modifications you've made to that deck, click save. If you want to make a new deck entirely, click new. If you want to change the name of a deck or delete it, click edit. Now with the edit button, you can't delete a deck that you are currently have loaded in. You cannot also rename that deck that you also have loaded in. Make sure the deck you want to edit is highlighted in blue like this, but not loaded in. You can move through your decks by using the left and right arrows below. Additional buttons. At the top of your screen, you will have 4 buttons that can come in handy. If you click the sort button, it will reorganize your deck into alphabetical order, going from monsters, spells, to traps. By clicking ban list, you can see the current ban list that DDX operates under. Please pay attention to this as DDX's ban list has a couple different bans and ratios than the current TCG and OCG format. These next 2 buttons are recommended for those who are familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling simulators. Import YDK allows you to import any deck from any dueling simulator that uses YDK files to store their decks. For this to work, open your YDK file in Notepad, copy all the text that it provides, and paste it in the box that pops up. Once done, click OK and the game will automatically build your deck the same way that it was built in the file. Great for those who want to transfer their work to DDX without having to manually add each card back into their decks. This feature works the same for the import Omega, but must be done with the corresponding file type of Omega. Inventory. As you continue DDX, you will collect more and more astrals. These astrals can be used to purchase a multitude of things. You can benefit from these purchases by checking your inventory on the right of your screen. When you click this button, your inventory will pop up. Now, quick note though, this section will not cover how to obtain these items, but rather what they're used for and how to equip them. Discs. By clicking the button on the left, you can see all your collected dual discs on the right. In the middle, you can edit the color of your dual disc by moving the color ratios left or right. There are 3 components you can edit, so absolutely go ahead and find a color combination that works for you. Sleeves. When this option is clicked, you can see all the sleeves you've obtained. These sleeves will appear in a duel when looking at the back of a card. Items. This contains all the consumables and quest items you've gotten while playing. Spirits. Spirits are monsters that follow right behind you. You can equip that monster to you by clicking on it, then clicking equipped. If you don't want any, just click the unequipped symbol or hide all dual spirits in your settings. Quests. In the game, you can duel players to obtain more astrals, but there will be some times where you might not be able to duel. You can complete quests to obtain more astrals and other rewards that are specific to that quest. You can look at your quest tab by clicking on the purple button on the right of your screen. In this tab, you'll be able to see all the progress that you have on these quests and which ones that you have accepted. Here's a warning to you though. You can only complete a mission if it's active. Missions that have a golden button mean that you can set them at any time to start them. You will not gain any progress if they have not been set to active. In this menu, you can also see some of your other duel related stats. Now, I did go over the setting menu in the Dueling UI, but I didn't go over the other settings. By clicking the red button on the right, you can open up the main game settings, which have additional options. Let's start with the duel modes. In DDX, you can play up to 9 different duel modes that have certain banlist/format changes. Standard. Standard is the regular dueling mode that you will use when syncing in. Match mode will allow you to play a best of 3 match against your opponent. In that mode, you gain access to your side deck after each duel is over. GOAT mode allows you to play with cards that was released in 2005 and earlier. This is a much slower paced format, but with more chaotic cards and effects. You can see which cards will allow you to be used in GOAT format by looking for the green token icon on the cards in the deck builder UI. Tag mode lets you play a 2v2 duel that allows you and your partner to share a field to overcome your opponents. Free mode allows players to sync anywhere without creating a beacon. This is generally used when you want to create a free-for-all kind of setting or duel. Traditional is a format where all banned cards become limited, meaning they can be played at a single copy each. Unlimited is a free form where all cards can be played at 3, including banned cards, limited cards, and semi-limited cards. TCG Standard is just like the regular standard mode, but you are not allowed to play OCG cards. TCG Match is the same as TCG Standard, but played with a best of 3 match. You can scroll through the duel music below, or enter in your own music that's been uploaded to Roblox. Just find the music ID for that song on Roblox and paste it in this box. You can also change the theme of your UI by toggling it to dark mode. Now, I would like to go over one of the best features in the game. That neat feature is Keybinds. You can set these keybinds to perform certain actions when dueling when that key is pressed. Just open up the keybind menu by clicking Manage. When there, click the new button below. First, select the kind of action you want performed when the key is pressed. So for example, I want a keybind that will draw me exactly 5 cards when I press that button. Great if I want to start a duel. So, I'll leave this keybind as draw for now. Next, I will set the key that I want to press to activate this. Generally, I don't want something that I might accidentally press, so I'll just set it to J, a bit further away from my controls. Finally, we now need to set the amount of times we want this action to be performed when pressed. The regular keybind will only draw 1 card, so instead I'm going to change this 1 to a 5. So now, if I go to a duel, if I press the J key, it draws me 5 cards. Keybinds are really helpful for going through less steps when activating or resolving cards and effects properly. Well, that covers everything you need to know about using and managing the user interface of Dimension Duels X. Unfortunately, I won't be making videos regarding all the stuff you can purchase or find, so that will be up to you to discover and find. I would like to do 3 shoutouts though. First one goes out to all of you who commented on the last tutorial video that I made 3 years ago. The whole reason I bothered to make this video was because of the many thanks I got from making that video, and I know many of you weren't sure how to operate that game. Thank you all for the support, and I hope I can see you guys around in the game. The second shoutout is to the development team of DDX. It's been a long time since we had a Roblox YGO game that wasn't flawed in some major way. DDX has raised the ceiling of quality games the same way that the original Dimension Duels did 3 years prior. Thank you all for working so hard on this game, and I cannot wait to see what you guys add into it. My third shoutout is to Snowskateer and Automaton. You've done a lot for the Roblox YGO community by making DD, but you've also given me a fantastic learning experience by letting me work on the original DD development team long ago. Though it wasn't enjoyable the entire time, I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for making such a wonderful game and letting me be there and be part of it when it was released in 2017. Also, shout out to Nikki because he wants me to. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you all can enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Dimension Duels X. Can't wait to see you guys in game.